What happens when a bunch of children disappear for no good reason? How does a community react to their children being gone? Who's to blame? A teacher? Parents? Cops? Drug addicts? We would love to believe that it's one evil person, just someone that we can defeat, we can banish. Weapons, written and directed by Zach Cregger, opens with a narration from a child about how kids ran away. Her first words? This is a true story. Next, we watch as 17 kids run out of their homes into the dark. Weapon's story is nonlinear and takes place mostly after this event, following the perspectives of many different characters as chapters, showing their fallouts and reactions to this communal trauma. The film is a slow burn with lots of weird imagery and confusing moments, and not too many answers. I'm going to break down each chapter of the film and its imagery, and do my best to make sense of it all. But first, I want to tell you a quick little story that may help paint my perspective. When I was working in an after-school program at an elementary school some years ago, we went on a hard lockdown. Now, that's not funny. I mean, this had never happened before. It seemed odd to go on hard lockdown at 5 p.m., but something triggered it. The lights flicked off, the intercom blared and told us to shelter in place. Kids began to cry and ask what was happening as we all huddled into a corner. The funny part is that what actually happened is a button was pressed 9 times. A button that is supposed to be around a neck, on a lanyard. It was left unattended by our new hire who was elsewhere with their group, and we found out later that a kid had pressed the button a bunch, which automatically puts the school into hard lockdown. Nothing happened, everyone was fine. Shit happens. But thoughts certainly go through the head when a 7-year-old asks you with deep guttural fear if they're gonna die. And thoughts certainly go through the head when part of the onboarding process for a part-time job involves going over drills for active shooters. In the first chapter of Weapons, we follow Justine, played by Julia Garner, the teacher of the class of missing kids. Justine is understandably shaken up, and not only that, the community is angry at her. Parents of the school suggest that she is behind this somehow, that we need to know what happened in that classroom. She ends up having to take a break from working due to the court of public opinion and retreats into alcoholism and an obsession with finding out what happened. She stakes out the house of Alex, the only kid in her entire class who did not disappear. She finds the windows blocked by taped-on newspapers and can't get the parents to answer the door. We, as the audience, don't get any more answers than she does. For now, we have other people to meet. We meet most characters in the movie in this chapter, so we will keep coming back to Justine, but next, let's talk about Archer, played by Josh Brolin, the man who actually started the "we need to know what happened in the classroom" dialogue. Archer is the father of one of the runaway children, and just like Justine, he is obsessed with finding out what happened. He is shirking his responsibilities to private investigate. Already, we see many parallels between Archer and Justine, even down to the way they sit in their cars watching their chosen target, voyeuristically, like Mike Ehrmantraut, but with a big gulp in their hands. Archer can't make sense of this ridiculous, absurd tragedy of his son being taken from him with no explanation or solution, so he projects onto Justine. He blames the teacher and begins to follow her, just as she follows Alex. One night, we see a sort of dream sequence, maybe even a vision given to him, something we also see Justine have earlier. But while Justine walks through the halls of her school, Archer walks through his home and out the door just as his son did. He goes across the darkness to another house, and we see him slowly look up to reveal a massive, floating, automatic weapon. This is silly, but it also feels quite poignant. In a dream, an exploration of the subconscious, Archer approaches this location that he believes is the great evil that took away his son and 16 others. How does his mind manifest this? Well, with an assault rifle, a weapon of mass slaughter. I mean, what else do you connect to the disappearance of a bunch of kids? Archer goes to confront Justine in person. He just has to talk to her, but this is interrupted by a man seemingly in a trance, running the same way the kids did out into the night. This is Marcus, played by Benedict Wong. He is the principal of Justine's school, and we will get back to him, but the next character we follow is Paul, a cop, played by Alden Ehrenreich. We've already met Paul. He's presumably an ex-lover of Justine, and he meets up with her after a chance meeting, and they have sex. We now learn in his chapter that he was actually cheating on his girlfriend and had lied about them being broken up. Justine questions Paul about the investigation, as we see many other characters question him and other cops. The community is hungry for answers, and it seems like the police are just sitting on their asses. So what do we see Paul do? Well, before he cheats on his wife with Justine, he's on duty. He chases down a perp, and this ends with him getting stabbed by a heroin needle. In response to this, he knocks the perp out by hitting him over the head and turns off his car's camera. He tells the perp, "Let's just forget this. I did you wrong, you did me wrong. Don't let me see you again." But the next day, Paul sees the perp walking into the police station. He assumes he's there to report him and hightails after him. Now, this perp is also the next chapter. James, played by Austin Abrams. He is homeless, trying to get money for drugs, and begins to stage a break-in, but is apprehended by Paul. After this, he does some more break-ins until breaking into Alex's house. He finds Alex's parents seemingly in a trance, and ultimately stumbles onto the kids, all 17 of them just standing there in the basement, buried underground. He runs away, and we find out he was going to the station not to report Paul, but to try and get the cash reward for finding the missing kids. He shares this with Paul once caught, and they hesitantly agree to check the house out. Next chapter, we follow Marcus before he attacks Justine. He lives with his husband, and they seem to just have it going on. Coordinated, dope-ass snack trays, watching TV, and matching chairs, but that's besides the point. Justine had reported the suspicious nature of Alex's home to him, and he agrees to meet with Alex's parents, mostly just to placate her. But come the meeting, Alex's parents don't walk in. Gladys does, played by Amy Madigan. She claims that she is Alex's aunt, staying with the family because his parents are sick. Tense conversations happen until the next day Gladys shows up at Marcus's door, essentially barges into his home, and finally, we get to see her power. She hypnotizes Marcus and has him kill his husband. Now he goes after Justine. So we've circled back to that. We come to learn that Gladys has also gained control of Paul and James. Archer and Justine pull up to Alex's house and go inside. Who is Gladys? The villain, the witch, the scary aunt. She isn't really explained much. It's implied she's a parasite and she needs the kids to help her. That's about it. Her story isn't really important. She's an object, if anything. An antagonistic force and nothing more. But one more perspective remains. Alex, the kid. We learn how Gladys took over his home, controlled his parents, and manipulated him into helping her. He bears witness to unspeakable violence. He is constantly in survival mode. As everything hits the fan, James and Paul try to kill Archer and Justine. Alex runs from his parents who are trying to kill him. Cue Shining reference. But then he finds Gladys's stuff. From observing her, he had learned what she was doing and how. Interestingly, this involves blood. He pricks his finger as we see Gladys do earlier, mirroring the shot of the needle stabbing Paul's finger earlier. Another parallel drawn. The prick of blood might represent a tainting of the social fabric. It's some sort of perversion. So let's follow that. Often in stories of mass violence against children, we hear about how cops sat around and did nothing. And moreover, we often hear stories of heroic and brave children standing up to protect their classmates. And that's how this movie ends. A kid saving the day as the adults go feral, fighting each other. A homeless man fights a suburban dad as a cop fights a teacher. But a kid saves the day. After this, the 17 kids rush out of the basement feral. They chase Gladys and ultimately eat her alive. Ironically, a threat that she had used earlier to manipulate Alex. I gotta be honest, the chase is funny as shit. My whole theater was laughing. It's cathartic. This tense buildup ends in a silly, fun gag. Now I know what you are thinking, savvy and attentive viewer. This is not a true story. The kid at the start said this was a true story, but it's not. So what is the true story? What actually happens after the mass disappearance of children? Anger, mourning, blame, nightmares, addiction, affairs, lost jobs, not to mention the lost children. It's painful for everyone, and we do anything to try and make sense of it, to numb, to cope and rationalize about kids who were here yesterday and aren't today for no good reason. We give prayers, we suggest arming teachers, we install metal detectors for the kids to walk through. We employ more police in the local community and throw a few more on patrol around or on campus. We blame homeless drug addicts or the mental health crisis. It moves outside of itself and shifts away from who it's actually about, the kids. We do everything in our power to point the blame away from what it actually is. In Weapons, it's just a witch. I mean, that's nice, but it can't just be that simple in the real world. But in our world, the only reason that children are disappearing from our classrooms for no sensible reason are weapons. Friends, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that. And if I missed any details or you think I got it all wrong, let me know down below. But just remember, this is my reading of it. It's my opinion. I'm not telling you that you gotta like the movie. This is just, kind of what I got from it. And as someone who has worked with children, it felt, very personal to me. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out the playlist on screen for more. I want to give a huge thanks to my channel members, Kat McKee, Phoenix E, and Mick Snickerbottom. Have a great day or night. Hippo out.